Hi, David, Caroline and Nick. Fantastic to see you in the same room where it's happening for the first time.
Yeah.
You've never been in the same room together.
No.
You still haven't met physically.
No.
Maybe we never will. Maybe this is us at our best.
Maybe this is
There will
it.
be some kind of like poetry in that. Yeah, we just never actually see each other.
So how did you meet?
People have been telling me for years to work with Caroline. I think because we both kind of live in musical theatre world, but we also write our own music and we gig a lot. And I think because we're both a little bit sarcastic and funny at times, that people are like, you've got to work with Caroline. I got that for years and years. And funny enough, it was kind of being put in a position where we couldn't work together, like in lockdown, that made me reach out and think maybe now is the time. I'm glad I did. And it was a long time coming, I think.
So whose idea was it to write the story?
David's.
Really, I had an idea of just like a moment from being on one of these Zoom calls, actually, that feeling when everyone leaves at the end and you suddenly can feel quite lonely. That feels like the lockdown version of kind of the end of a party when everyone leaves and you're suddenly alone in an empty house. And I kind of felt that at the end of a Zoom call when a few of my mates left, and I suddenly felt very away, and locked down, having forgotten it for kind of half an hour with my friends.
And I told her she was out of her mind, that baby may be trying on wine. You chose to leave the kingdom behind. Are you happy now?
If you guys saw, but there was a Richard Nelson play that he did for the Public Theatre in New York that was done on Zoom as well, a family play, and it was also perfect. So in a way, you guys have responded to the moment so well.
When I kind of first came on board, that's what really struck me about it, was that it made perfect sense to be presented in the way Caroline and David wanted to present it. Like, because it's about the technology that we were using, it made perfect sense.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of lean into the technologies instead of thinking, right, we're stuck in this position, we have to make it work. We were more like, well, if we design a story that has to be told in this way, then none of these things are restrictions, they're positives, and it meant we could just kind of enjoy every bit of it without feeling like, oh, I wish we could do this on stage. This is the absolute way it should be done.
I think we thought from the beginning, everybody knows, unfortunately, that we can't do live theatre. So let's not be afraid of the fact that we can't make this production make people feel like they are in the theatre, because we're at home. And so I think that kind of propelled us to really do what we can and use the lockdown situation. So
you guys wrote this piece, never having met before, and you wrote it, you're in Dublin, Caroline.
Yes.
David, you're in Leighton Buzzard, and Nick?
I was in Leicestershire. I'm now back in London.
So you all collaborated by Zoom or by other messaging?
By WhatsApp, actually. Actually, I think myself and Nick did have one initial Zoom. I don't know why we chose to do that.
No, I don't know either, but
it was lovely to see your face. But myself and David, I don't even know if it was a really conscious thing. Maybe it was for David, but he just reached out to me on WhatsApp. He just got in touch with me, like told me this cool concept idea and asked me would I like to write it. And obviously I jumped at the idea, at the chance. And because that was via WhatsApp, we kind of just kept that up, and neither of us ever said, should we have a call or should we do a Zoom? We just voice noted and texted back and forth for everything, for the entire process of writing.
And how long did that writing process take?
It took about 3 weeks to write it. The songwriting part itself should have been much more difficult, but it just kind of pinged back and forth. And we really dissected every syllable, and me and Caroline could have a chat for hours about, should it be hold or should it be held? And it was all very lovely. And to be honest, just to have all these ideas and all those potential ideas buzzing around my head, and I'm sure for you guys too, during a time when creativity's been at a premium, it was just lovely to be full of thoughts and ideas and excitement. It was great. And
then putting it together as a performance as well, having written it, you then obviously created great roles for yourselves.
Yeah. Obviously we would star ourselves. But yeah, that was an exciting and scary process. I would say I am technically challenged. I'm not the most techie person. I know David definitely is more technology orientated than I am. So it was scary moving from the writing into the filming and that whole process, but we managed just about.
If I decided to stay, half of my heart would stand in our way. But maybe I'm ready to travel for you. Feeling like my world could change.
Now, you've written a musical before, haven't you?
Technically, yes. That musical is not yet out, and I'm also like very much using this time to revise it. So
Right.
I have written a musical. We have a whole score and a whole script, but I'm very much, redoing the script and editing songs and stuff during lockdown.
And David, you've obviously been in many musicals, most recently Waitress, which of course he was due to return to, and the day you were due to return is the day the West End shut down.
Yeah.
So that was very...
It's a practical joke just against me.
Yeah. So in a way, creating this project has been, and the first musical, you've written songs before, but your first time you've written a musical.
Yeah, and that's really thrilling for me, really, to think of like to enter that world and to do it in this way. I always knew if I was to do that, I'd want to work with someone who could fill in the blanks in my own skill set and lead it in a different kind of way musically. Because while I've written a lot of pop songs and indie songs, they're kind of they fall into that genre, and that's how I write as a guitarist, which I'm not much of a guitarist. Caroline, although she'll protest, I'm sure when I say it, is musically incredibly advanced and can do things and take it places that wouldn't occur to me or I wouldn't be capable of. Equally, I'm sure, Caroline, you would then say the same about Nick.
100%. I'm sure Nick is listening to you saying that I'm incredibly musically gifted, going, well, I've done the demos.
Of course I'm not doing that.
No, I mean, I think like David, I think it's a skill in itself in a way or a real benefit to know your limitations as an artist, as a performer. And I mean, David said himself, maybe he's aware of some things there for himself. And I know where my piano and composing skills I can only take a song so far. We can build a song, we can, get the melodies and the chord structure together, but I am just worlds away of what Nick can do. And every time he would send us back his ideas of orchestration, myself and Nick would just have these like honestly mind-blown moments, because we feel like he turned what we hope was good content to start with, and just really took the stuff to another level and made it just sound like, real contemporary classy musical theatre, if I can say that about our own work.
Well, no, I think you can say that about your own, because that's the thing. The songs were all so good, like straight off the bat, which is, I always think it's easy to make something that's already excellent sound better. So like the fact that it was already great, it was just like an easy little playground for me, really, to just like have a nice time and dig into the music. Yeah, it was fun.
So Nick, you are the Jonathan Tunick of this relationship, obviously. The man.
Oh my God, I will take that. Yes, absolutely.
The man who makes Sondheim sound like Sondheim. You've made these guys, given them their...
Sound like Sondheim.
Yeah, I've made them sound like more like them. Hopefully what I was aiming to do, and I feel that's what happened, is like, if you were like to like imagine what it would be like, I just kind of tried to fill out that, like, what's the wildest dream version of this song?
And how many pieces did you orchestrate it for?
The first kind of job, and the reason why Caroline got in touch initially, was just to kind of create piano parts that were a little bit more intricate and a little bit more filled out. She just wanted someone initially with just like more piano skill to lift that. But then I said, well, why don't we also just add a couple of other things? So it's just piano and drums and cello. Those are the only...
And glockenspiel.
Oh yeah, there is, well, yeah, piano, percussion and cello then, yeah. There's some delightful glockenspiel.
And where did you record it? Did you record a backing track?
Yes, so I recorded everything at home apart from the cello, which my good friend and a fabulous performer, Imogen, recorded, then sent it all to Joe at Auburn Jam, who then mixed it all together.
Wow, yeah. And you obviously had to be intricately timed so that everything coordinated.
Yeah, so I did demos first, which I sent to Caroline and David, and they recorded to those. And then I redid the demos, but to the exact same tempo, so that the kind of the finished product was all the same structure and the same length of time exactly. Yeah.
So that's much more complicated than bashing out a song on your guitar, isn't it, David?
It is, and much more rewarding, I can tell you. I mean, for me, when Caroline mentioned, oh, I'm thinking of approaching an arranger, and I know Nick, I was like, yeah, I mean, if you want. And then Nick would come back, and it was only then that opened my eyes to what an arranger does and what Nick can do specifically, because he did kind of give us our identity, I suppose. It was strange to hear the songs that we knew. I mean, we could sing along to them instantly, but taken to a whole new place, and it suddenly felt like a musical in its, finest form.
A bit like a Sitzprobe is when you've been rehearsing in a rehearsal room to a rehearsal pianist, and then you get to the Sitzprobe and you actually hear what it sounds like.
That's
absolutely, except we were alone in our houses trying to have this enjoyment with absolutely no one there to share it with. So it was a bit different, but yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's just hearing it for the first time come to life.
I've heard it all before, he'll never change, just close the door. I know what you're thinking. And yeah, last year I swore I wouldn't stay, but stayed for more. We should have known we were sinking.
And David, early on in lockdown, you did an amazing project where on Cameo, you were selling songs to the public. They could commission a song from you. In fact, I commissioned a song from you, and you did an amazing song for me. It was thrilling. That made me think that you should write musicals. And so I'm very glad you have.
You suggested it. We spoke briefly on Twitter that evening or whatever when I sent the song back, and you said, oh, you should write a musical. And it honestly just started the cogs ticking. I felt like it was out of my reach, and I needed the right person or people to get me there and to work with me to do that. And Caroline's the person who can do that, and she absolutely did. And then she brought Nick on, and he absolutely did. And so we've been very fortunate.
So are you planning to write another musical together, or are you already doing so?
This is the end of First Dates, isn't it? Where they kind of awkwardly look at, do you want to write?
Oh my God. I'm not going first.
I'm not going first. I'm sure we will. I think it's a strange thing having we've not spent a lot of time on this musical in terms of when people say they've spent 7 years, 10 years on a musical, as Caroline now writing Daisy, like that is a long process. So in those sort of terms, we've spent a few months writing them, but I think it has been really our every waking thought for quite some time. And so I think the next stage of that is going, right, what did we make? How does it feel? How did people receive it? Did they like it? What did they like? What didn't they like? What did we like? What didn't we like? And then approach it again. But I'm absolutely certain at some point there'll be a phone call with one of us going, I've had this idea, and it'll just be the nugget of an idea as this one was, and we'll see if it inspires the other.
But this piece is not going to be developed further, as it were. This is it in its final incarnation.
We think so. It is this glimpse into their lives, and who knows as characters what they go on to do. But I think for what it is, and the fact that it happened in lockdown, and it's them in lockdown as well, I don't see how we could really. I mean, we could write something else for them, but I don't think it would have the same, I don't know, magic or work in the same way. So I think for us with these particular characters and, the glimpse into their lives that we saw, I think that's it for this one. But like David said, that doesn't stop us from having many other ideas.
And one more thing we should say is that, of course, this has been a gift to the industry as well, which is that there's a charity donation element. So people don't have to pay to watch it, but you're invited to donate.
Yeah, so we're donating to the Theatre Artist Fund, which was the one that was very recently set up by Sam Mendes and Netflix and launched with like $500,000 investment. We just kind of felt, all three of us, that we felt and we feel very lucky that we're able to kind of give this time to a project like this, which doesn't stand to make us any money. In fact, it will cost us money and has cost us money. But be in a position where we can spend that time, but there's plenty of artists who can't. And we're very lucky that we've got people who will take an interest in the work we're doing, like now. And so can we direct some of that energy to want to support the arts into a fund that will hopefully help the community that we're so proud to be a part of, and people that we genuinely know who need that influx of cash urgently. So please, if you're watching this, even donate to the Theatre Artists Funds or any other fund like that, because I really think that money will be well directed to the right people who really need it within our community.
Well, huge congratulations on a really beautiful video and beautiful music. I can't wait to see what you both write next. And Nick, of course, will be your go-to arranger.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks very much,
Of
guys.
course. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.